I highly suggest you check out the trailer. He has tweeted it. And also bispingdoc.com. In fact, we have a little quick exclusive clip of the film. Check it out.
Get out of bed the nenext day, my phone, bing, 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 starts lighting up like a Christmas tree. And I'm like, what the hell? And I look, and all these tweets, and then I get a phone call from Ariel Helwani, and I answer the phone, and he says, oh, congrats. I'm like, congrats on what?
I've got some breaking news here,
Yeah.
So let's get to it. Dana, who is it? Who's going to fight Luke Rockhold in UFC 199?
The next guy in line is Michael Bisping.
Really? I mean, number one, it was great news. He hadn't told me. This is the first I'm finding out. And if I'd have known, I wouldn't have had a couple of beers the night before. So I was like, shit. I checked my weight. I got on the scale. It was like 215 pounds. I've got 2 weeks to weigh 185 pounds. So at 30 pounds, I'm like, shit. So, right, I'm panicking. My head's spinning. I've got to run. I've got to run. So I run out of the city. I throw my backpack over my shoulders, and I'm just running through the city. And then Dana calls, and I'm on the phone to Dana while still running.
Bisping would never say no. Bisping is a fighter. This is what he was born to do. Because there's a lot of guys that try to pull some real stupid bullshit when you call and try to get them to fight last minute, and they're actually real dirty about it. Bisping was never dirty about it. Bisping was always smooth in the way he handled himself.
And as I'm running, I start thinking, I don't believe this. This is so typical of my career. I've wanted a title fight my entire life. And here I am. And in true Michael Bisping fashion, I get it on 2 weeks' notice against a guy that already beat me. I haven't been near a gym. You know, I had a couple of drinks last night, and I've still got to finish filming Triple X before I go home and then focus on the fight.
It was preposterous for him to take a fight in 11 days with a formidable fighter like Luke Rockhold.
I mean, that is incredible stuff. How dramatic. There he is, the star of Bisping, the Michael Bisping story, out on the 21st of March in the UK, out on the 22nd of March here in the United States, on demand, digitally. I mean, I'm a little bit in awe right now. I feel a little bit starstruck. This guy is such a big star now in the world of MMA, the one and only, the Count Michael Bisping. How are you, sir? Thanks for carving out some time for us.
Oh, come on, stop it. The ribbing starts already. I mean, we're not even 2 minutes in. Thanks, Ariel. I appreciate it. Thanks for playing the clip. Always a pleasure to talk to you, sir. And yeah, happy to be here.
It's a pleasure as always. I love that clip, by the way. They have me on the phone. I mean, I didn't even know they were filming me. I wasn't quite sure how to feel about that. It felt a little voyeuristic, but.
I mean, come on, in true Helwani fashion, you showed a clip that has you in it.
They sent me that. They sent me that.
That's a 90-minute long movie. You could have showed any part, but no, I had to. The nose had to make an appearance.
That is, they sent me that one. I was like, oh, wow, this is a nice clip. It's about me. In fact, Michael, can I just say something? I scrolled, it took me a minute, but I scrolled all the way up to our texts from May of 2016. I wanted to I haven't done this ever. And there's some gems in there. I was actually going to post some of them, but it's nothing bad, but there's a great exchange. Now, this is like, you know, the whole story that you tell. Trust me, it's nothing bad. Don't worry. But I asked you.
I know, but come on. It's always concerning when somebody says, I'm going to read out a text
No.
from 6 years ago. I'm like, crap, who's it about?
No. It's about the making of this fight. When I reach out, and there's just some gems in here. Like, I'm asking you, how do you feel? This is before you got the fight, and you wrote, like, I can be ready in 2.5 weeks with a smiley face, and then you write, ready-ish. So it just goes to show, like, the state that you were in, you were filming the movie, all that stuff. My favorite thing of the text that I found was me bugging you to come on the show. And I was like, thank you for doing it. It was the Monday before. Thank you for squeezing in. And you say, no problem, happy to, all that stuff. And then I wrote to you, this is a story we'll maybe share when we're two old men looking back on how you won the belt. And then you wrote back, wow, wouldn't that be something, with a smiley face. Come on, Mike. I believed in you before you believed in you.
It was all down to you, Ariel. We know this. All of my success. Anybody that comes on this show, they owe their entire career to the great Helwani. Come on, we are just merely here to serve you. But listen, it was a great time, a great story. You know, I guess the short notice, all that stuff kind of made it even better, you know. But still, you know, I'm not one to constantly congratulate myself on past accomplishments, but I guess that is the story of the film. So,
it's a beautiful thing, and it's so beautifully shot. I mean, I can't wait to actually watch the whole thing. Could I ask you, how does this come about? Do you pitch someone to your life is a movie? There's no doubt about that. Or does someone find out about your life and they reach out? How did it actually happen?
Yeah, so I'm really close friends with a guy called Yaz Talat from Toronto. He has a company called Electric Panda, and I've done some work with them in the past. And they came to me and said, we have a budget for a documentary and we would love to tell your life story. We believe that it's a story worth telling. So we have a team in Scorgy Productions that are they are award-winning documentary makers. So we had a couple of meetings. We sat down, we talked about it. We talked about their vision and things like that. And it all made sense. And of course, I am proud of what I accomplished. I had to go through a lot of adversity, to get to that point, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of injuries. So yeah, I wanted to tell it. And here we are. I mean, we started in 2018. So 4 years later, finally we are here. Of course, there was a pandemic through that, so that probably slowed things down. But I'm very, very excited to show the world. I mean, I'm proud of it. I mean, we went through a lot of work, like 4 or 5 completely different edits before we settled on this one. And as I say, a lot of work. Shouts out to everybody involved. Too many people to mention, but the director, Michael Hamilton, Adam Scorgy, Yaz Talat, Gabriel Naporo, Paradigm Sports Management, and everyone that took the time, like yourself, Ariel, to speak on the film, which is what made it so special. We've got Vin Diesel, Mickey Rourke, Joe Rogan, Scott Adkins, Michael Jai White, and yourself.
It was weird,
many greats.
I saw a lot of names on the poster. Dana White, Joe Rogan. I guess that they ran out of space there because I didn't see, it was like a lot of names. And then I was looking at the bottom and there was
not even a mention,
not even a special thanks.
That was my doing. They put you on the list. I'm like, no, he doesn't need mentioning.
That's amazing. You did a ton of media yesterday. Are you tired of talking about yourself? I mean, I think you did like 8 hours yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday was crazy from like 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. But it's a necessary evil. It's just like when I used to fight, the PR is a necessary evil. You have to do it. And a lot of fighters still to this day don't get that. How are you supposed to publicize your fight? How is your fight, which is your product that you're trying to sell, you want that to be successful. So you have to let people know about it. So I guess I'm trained from the early days for that. So no problem. I want this to be a success. It will be a success. The product alone is fantastic. I'm very, very proud of it. But hey, it is what it is, and I'm always happy to talk to you, Ariel. You know this.
Thank you. When you write a book, which you did as well, that's something you read, you're a part of the process, all that. In the movie process, obviously you sit with them, you're somewhat a part of it. Do you just let them do it and then they come to you when they have an edit? Like, how involved are you in the process and how nerve-wracking is it, because it's such a visual thing, to just kind of let someone work with your life? This is your life story, right? This will live on after you. How nerve-wracking is that?
Yeah, it is nerve-wracking, to be honest. And next Monday we have a premiere in Manchester. And I am nervous for people to see it. I'm not sure what the reaction is going to be, because I am very honest in the film. And, I show a lot of emotions in there, and I talk about, listen, when you're a fighter, it's all a brave front. You never show weakness. You got to seem like you are, your defense is impenetrable, to quote Mike Tyson. But you know what I'm saying? In this, I tell the truth. I talk all about my emotions, the ups and the downs, the injuries. I hid a lot of things going through the years. I kept my mouth shut and never talked about things, but my body was failing me throughout, the last 5 years of my career. So it was very, very tough. But, it is what it is. That's my story. And like it or lump it, I can't change it now.
By the way, how is your body now?
It feels good. My knees are totally replaced. I live in constant neck pain. I had surgery last year. They put a titanium plate in. They need to do another 2. Obviously, I've got one eye.
Right.
And apparently I got an email this morning from some sleep experts saying, because I went on the Rogan podcast and I talked about these terrible night terrors that I have. And some sleep experts reached out saying that it wasn't a good email to read. He says you have got a degenerative neurological disease, CTE and all kinds of. He's just trying to sell something, I'm sure.
Okay.
But yeah, no, my body's good. My body's good. Don't worry about me, Ariel. Okay. I'm coming back. Jake Paul's gonna fucking get it.
Yeah, right. You're not, obviously. I have to. You're not serious about this, right? I mean, this is the natural.
No.
You said
if he wants to, I would.
You would. You really would. You can't. How could you?
Stick me on an Indian reservation. 2 rounds, boom, out cold.
You don't believe that, do you?
Why wouldn't I believe that?
He's a tremendous boxer.
No, he's not.
You think you
You're
could beat him?
talking to the count, baby.
You think that you could beat him in 2 rounds?
I think I could beat him. I don't know about 2 rounds. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that, Ariel. I should not have said that. No. We're going off on a tangent now.
The best are why do you read the comments from the people on the YouTube, and why do you read their names? They keep getting you. Don't let them get you. Just don't read the names.
What do you mean, get me?
They're
oh, you're talking about these stupid names. Yeah, well, listen, I'm not known for my vision. Do you know what I mean? And so when I do a live on the YouTube, people, they ask questions, and that's what we're doing. We're interacting. Yeah. And it's only, I haven't got time to stop and read it first because it's a live show. Sure. And that's all it is. I don't have guests like you. I'm just answering their questions and whatnot. So I lean forward and I'm like, so John says, and I'm like, oh God. And by the time it's too late, I've already read it out loud. Do you know what I'm saying? Yes. So, but some of it's very funny. Some of it's very offensive as well. So I apologize for that, but that's not my fault. But if you haven't subscribed and rang the bell on the Michael Bisping YouTube channel, what are you even doing with your life?
It's incredible stuff. All I'm saying is just don't read the names, and then because I have to admit there's a Twitter account. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Boashinya Depot. Are you familiar with it?
I've been a big fan of their work for a long time.
Every time I see one of your clips, I can't help but laugh because you handle it very well. You let it roll off your back, but golly, you could see it coming a mile away. And I mean, they keep getting you. So I was just thinking, just read the comment, don't read the name.
Yeah, it's part of the fun, Ariel. Right. Come on. It's part of the fun.
I'm just
and I do take it well. It's like water off a duck's back. All good. All good.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so you have the movie, it's out, and just curious, like, are you a part of the editing process? Like, do they consult with you, or do you just come in at the end?
No. Excuse me. Just finished working out. Still got it, you see.
Look at you. Look at you. I see those guns. Golly.
Yeah. Oh, bro. Yeah. Very much so. Very much so, to answer your question, because it is my life story and I want it to be told in the proper way. However, to answer your question, yes. And I was very meticulous in saying, take this out, put that in, take this out. So I don't think there's anything in there that people should get too upset about. There's a couple of things here and there that I say that I was very, I don't want to throw people under the bus along the way, but you got to tell the truth also. So it is very much a warts and all film.
Logan Paul, speaking of the Paul brothers, was on my show last week. You'll see where I'm going with this.
Yes.
Actually, a very pleasant, likable young man. I don't know how much you know of him, but different than his brother. In any event, we were talking about he cannot watch his old videos. And he was a big YouTube guy. He says he cringes. Like he actually thought of deleting all of them because it hurts him inside to watch himself as a youngster. And it made me actually think of you. Can you go back to 2010? Can you go back to Jorge Rivera, to Matt Hamill, to some of these fights, shaved head Bisping, and watch your stuff? Or does it make you cringe inside?
Certainly, to answer your question, it makes me cringe. Absolutely. I mean, I said some things over the year that I regret. The Jorge Rivera one, I have no problem watching back, buddy. That was a great stoppage, a great knockout. And if you haven't seen it, go check it out. He talked mad shit going into that one. Yeah. So you talk shit, you got to pay the piper. Simple as that. But in terms of, old interviews and things like that, oh God, yeah, I cringe. I die inside. I'm like, oh my God, what are you saying? But hey, listen, I've grown up over the years. In fact, this shirt that I'm wearing, Tales from the Octagon, in that show, I revisit some of my early stuff and talk about what a fool I used to make out of myself. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Ariel. But I can, but it's with great difficulty.
So it's amazing, the revenue streams that you have going on, right? Like you are, obviously not everyone has the career that you had. Not everyone has the resume. But what you're doing now, you're working the UFC broadcasts on ESPN. You've got the YouTube channel. You've got the book that came out. You've got the documentary that came out. You've got Tales from the Octagon. I believe you're going back in October, right, for a massive tour. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, just allow me to elaborate on that. So we did a 4-stop tour last year, and I was so nervous to do that. There were huge venues. In Manchester, we had 3,500 people. And, I was on stage by myself for 90 minutes, and I've never done anything like that. So I was terrified, but it went well. We did Scotland, London, Manchester, and Birmingham. Mm-hmm. And the turnout, they were sold out. The crowd was amazing. Everybody loved it. And it's kind of due to popular demand. They want to do a round 2. And I didn't want to do it because for me, I have no, designs on becoming a stand-up comedian and touring the world. So I was like, that was a moment in time. I enjoyed it. Let's end on a high. But honestly, the demand has been crazy. So the promoters came back and said, there's so many people asking. So we're doing a 17-date tour around Europe, Stockholm, Amsterdam, Copenhagen. There's a couple, Dublin, London, and all over the UK. So myticket.co.uk. Then we go down to Australia, New Zealand. So yeah, that's October and November this year. myticket.co.uk if you want tickets. And then there's another one as well for Australia. It is livenation.com.au. And we got Dapper Laughs. He's a hilarious comedian. He's going to be opening up for me and providing some laughs. So if you want to come check it out, check it out. If you don't, then go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Okay. Now, do you have to say the same story 17 times?
No, everyone is, listen, it's based around my life.
Sure. But is it all like kind of set up the same, or do you switch it up depending on where you are?
Well, yeah. I mean, see, the thing is, the rowdy crowd, so there's a lot of interaction from those guys. So that kind of, we go off on a tangent, because the way it started, there was supposed to be a 30-minute Q&A at the end, but we went straight through 90 minutes and there was no time for a Q&A because someone says something and I react and we kind of go down the rabbit hole, so to speak. But it was amazing, and I am nervous to do it again, but it was a lot of fun.
Why not in America? America, Canada, you got fans here?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't want to do this. I'm only doing this because, do you know what I mean? I did it one time. It was great. I was nervous. I got in the best shape of my life for that because I looked like I was fighting again because I was so nervous. I was hardly eating. I couldn't sleep at night. I kept having dreams that I'm on stage talking and everyone's just walking out. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, oh God, do you know what I mean? And then I start stuttering and I have a heart attack on stage. You never know. It might happen this time round. So, but yeah, we'll see. You never know if it goes well. Maybe USA as well.
So October, right? That's when it kicks off?
October for the European leg, and then November for Australia and New Zealand.
Okay. Now, the idea to have all these revenue streams post-fighting, was that always your plan? Did someone sit down with you and say like, hey, Mike, we got to start? Because it's amazing what you're doing. And again, it's the blueprint. How many times have we heard of the fighter who's, broke, who doesn't have anything, who's trying? It's sad, right? I mean, it's more often than not. You're beating the system. You're winning the game. Most don't. When did this come to you that you had to do this and hustle? I mean, you're working harder now than you were when you were fighting.
Oh, tell me about it. My wife complained a lot. I'm hardly ever home. Right. Not enough hours in the day. But in all seriousness, everyone knows about my eye. And I was still competing when I had the eye injury, and I was doing what I could to be able to fight. But I knew at any moment in time I could be rumbled and my career would be over. So it was at that time I started trying to diversify what I was doing, trying to open as many doors as possible. And looking back, that was a blessing in disguise, because when you're done with fighting, when you're, to use a term, a washed up former fighter, no one cares. No one cares. But I was very lucky that I was aware of this because I knew the door could be closed on me at any moment. So I started doing a podcast. I started working on Fox Sports, all that stuff, started focusing on my acting career and doing anything I could because I knew it's going to come to a crashing end very, very soon. Listen, post-fighting, things have gone fantastically. There's just so much going on. It's crazy. It gets a little overwhelming at times, but I do enjoy it. And you're absolutely right. It is a very sad reality that a lot of not only fighters, former athletes, when the athletic career is over, they don't really know what to do with themselves. I guess I'm very blessed, but I work hard. I work my goddamn ass off. And it's that same work ethic that when I was fighting, because when I was fighting, I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I left school at 16 and it was dead end job after dead end job. It's not an uncommon story in the fight game. And when I started fighting, I was feeling like I was starting to live the life I was supposed to be. Started to feel like this is me. This is who I am. And of course, with that lifestyle, a little more money comes in and stuff. And I never wanted to go back to working in factories again, and at any time, you had a stint in the UFC, you had a few fights, but there you go. Right, back to doing whatever you were doing. I didn't want that to be the case. So that work ethic I had as a fighter, always trying to be in the best shape possible, trying to be the best version of myself I could be. That same work ethic from then is crossing over into now, because my fight career is over. But my life isn't over. I'm still doing me. I'm still trying to achieve new goals, for want of a very conceive, believe, achieve style quote. But it's true. I'm still only 43 years old. There's a lot of things I still want to achieve.
And by the way, belated happy birthday to you. You just celebrated a couple weeks ago. You look fantastic. Does all this happen to you if you don't move from England to California? You think that you have this kind of success post-fighting if you don't make that move?
I mean, that's a good question. And the reality is that the USA is the land of opportunity, and I agree with that. And I've got so many doors that are open for me right now. And, I'm trying to walk through them all. My wife's like, you can't walk through them all.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You can't be in so many places at one time. And I'm like, well, I'm going to give it a good shot. Some things would be happening, but not this amount.
Mm-hmm.
Not this. I mean, I'm from Clitheroe. It's a lovely small little town in the Ribble Valley in the northwest of England. If I was living there, I'd probably be, with the money I earned from fighting would go a long way. In Clitheroe, I wouldn't need to be working, but I'd probably be far out of shape and very, very bored.
Will you ever move back, or do you think your days of living in England are over?
I miss the UK tremendously. And every time I go back, I'm just filled with this warm sense of pride. As the plane's touching down, I see the green grass, and I'm like, I feel like I'm home. But the reality is probably a no. We're going to buy a house over there soon. But my life's here now, and my children are here. I don't know if knowing now trapped isn't the right word. But essentially we are. My children have grown up as Americans. Callum is at college. He's got a long-term girlfriend. He's getting a master's degree in business. He's not going to move back to England. He's got no desire to do that. My daughter's kind of the same way, So if we went back to England, we would have to leave them here. And there is no way on earth my wife would ever consider that for a split second. So unless I get divorced, you never know. Unless the family falls apart, I'm like, right, I'm going back to Manchester or Clitheroe. No, to answer your question, because of those reasons, no. But we are going to get a place out there so we can spend more time there.
I don't love the circumstances, obviously, but you have stepped up in a very big way for the UFC over the past 2 months, right? You did those 2 pay-per-views back to back. I hate the circumstances for the last one, of course, because of DC and his mother, and obviously how I feel about DC. But you stepped up, and you know what's crazy about it? I felt for the longest time that you should have been in the booth. And for the longest time, I felt you were just being used as a desk guy. Like in Fox days, desk guy. Then it's Contender Series, you get a little bit. Now it feels like you're the number one guy in a pinch. They need someone on pay-per-view. It's Bisping. It's no one else. And I'm not trying to, like, Felder's amazing, Cruz, you're amazing. But you have really developed into that guy. Doing those shows on short notice, those pay-per-views, what is that like for you? Are you ready to go? Do you panic? Oh my God, I gotta you're consuming so much MMA. You're talking about MMA, so you know all these guys. But how do you react when you get a call, on a couple days' notice?
Well, I'm very honored and humbled that they would call me, because they do have a lot of people they can call. And I'm assuming that Dominic Cruz had a prior engagement and Felder was on a film set somewhere. They're like, for crying out loud, we've got no choice. We're going to have to call Bisping. And Dana's like, are you sure? And they're like, we've got no choice. So they called me. Listen, calling a pay-per-view, it doesn't get any better than that. I love calling the fight nights. I love working at the Apex, and I love all the opportunities that I get. I love still being involved with this sport. Mixed martial arts, the UFC, it gave me so much, it gave me my life, so to still be involved is incredible for me. People always say, are you going to come back? And I'm like, no, I don't need to. I don't miss it. And the reason I don't miss it is because I'm still involved with the sport. And I was only filling in for DC and Joe Rogan one time, so they'll be back in their regular spots. So I'll be back to working with Fitzgerald and all those guys and whatnot. But if you need me, I'm happy to step up on a moment's notice.
Do you look at your phone during a fight? People are very weird about the broadcasters in this sport. Do you block it, or do you look at it? Do you let it affect you? I'll admit, I'm addicted to this thing and I don't want to be. Do you look at it? I remember actually someone at ESPN way back said, stop looking at your phone. Stop reading. Stop letting it get into, a mutual friend of ours, Ant Evans, said to me, because I was sort of lamenting this. He said, your brain is not a hotel. You can't let people check in and check out whenever they choose to. Stop letting this get to you. Do you let it get to you when people start commenting on your work in real time?
I don't let it get to me. I wouldn't say that's the correct description for it, but I do have to correct them. It doesn't bother me, but I'm like, hold on a minute, you're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. Do I look at my phone? I do when we go to like a commercial break or they're running a long feature or something like that. Of course, when there's fights going on, when there's people making their walk to the octagon, I would never dream of disrespecting what they do. But, if we go to like a 2, 3, 4 minute long feature, I'll just quickly text, see if my wife's text me or anything like that. And, cheeky little look at Twitter as well. Take a look, see what's going on. But listen, I love being a commentator for the UFC. I really do. I'm so passionate about it. And hopefully long may it continue.
I thought you shined in the RDA fight on Saturday. You told it like it is. Look, it's okay to be honest. Not everything is rainbows and lollipops. Sometimes it's a little bit controversial. It's the fight game and it's subjective. I thought that fight should have been stopped in the third round. I felt it was uncomfortable, and I felt like RDA took his foot off the gas because he felt bad for Moicano in the fifth round, and thus Moicano hits him with a shot, and everyone's like, oh, look, the fight should have continued. That fight should have stopped. Why don't fights stop earlier? When the guy like Moicano, 20 pounds in 3 days, there was no need to take that extra damage, right? Doesn't that make you feel uncomfortable when you're watching that?
Yeah, it does. It does. And listen, last thing I would ever do is want my words to be misconstrued as insulting to Moicano. I have tremendous respect for what he did and what he went through. To step up onto the plate from Tuesday, take on Dos Anjos for 5 rounds at a weight class above or at a catch weight is an incredible feat of bravery in itself. But the reality is after 3 rounds, he was not going to win that fight. It's impossible to win a decision. He didn't have the snap, the pop to beat Dos Anjos or to finish Dos Anjos, and he was just beaten by the better man on the night, and that's how it goes. In mixed martial arts, for whatever reason, we just don't see it. I know Jason Perillo threw the towel in when BJ Penn fought George St. Pierre for the second time. There isn't many other occasions I can think of where that happens. Of course, there's going to be a couple here and there that I can't remember, but in boxing, it's a common thing. It happens a lot. And I think that a lot of coaches need to, man up and just, you're looking after your fighter. Now, and I think what it is, a lot of coaches, they attach their ego to the fighter because they go through it together. And they want them to win. And then by winning, that is kind of like the coach winning as well. And if the fighter losing, that's the coach losing. But sometimes you got to say, do you know what? Today's not our day. You're going to lose. And I want you to continue to have a long, fruitful career because never mind the physical damage that they're going to endure in that fight. Like Moicano was a mess, let's be honest. The psychological damage is even more because it's one thing to get caught. If you get caught by a shot and you get knocked out, fighters, we have a great way of convincing ourselves, well, we just got caught. We all get caught here and there. But to get systematically beaten down for 5 rounds to where commentators say this needs to be stopped, there's psychological trauma there. That's going to affect your confidence going forward. And there's a potential that that fighter may never be the same again. So right then and there, if they're stopping that fight, they are saving the fighter's career. So what you lose some here and there, go home, feel sorry for yourself, heal up, and get back in the saddle. Doing that, you never know. There could be lifelong injuries.
That's one thing I'd like to see more prevalent in the sport. Another thing that I've been banging the drum about, I'd love to get your thoughts. I want open scoring. I want to know where things stand. I'm a big fan, a big proponent of this, especially in boxing. Longer fights, more rounds. I don't know if you saw that Josh Taylor, Jack Catterall fight. It was a total robbery. But here we have a situation, even in our sport, sometimes we're going into the 5th round, we're going into the 3rd. We don't know where things stand. How do you feel about open scoring?
I think it'd be very exciting for the crowd as well. Also, I believe that would hold judges further accountable.
Yes.
You know, because right now, we know the names of some of them, but the most fans wouldn't know who they were if they walked past them in the street or if they spat in their face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, who did that? Apparently it's an MMA judge. But this way, bing, it comes up, people can say, who the hell is this? Oh, yeah, I agree with this. It's another talking point. So I'm not sure what the negatives are, and I'm not sure why they don't do that. But I think it would add a further element of excitement. And it also would say to the fighter in question, their coach, to say, bud, you are down. You have no choice. You need to be Derek Lewis against Volkov. You need to go out there in that final round and get that Hail Mary shot, because if you don't, all this work we've done, all this preparation has been for nothing.
There are people who say, oh, you know, if you say this guy's up 2 rounds to none or 3 rounds to 1.
He's going to coast?
Yeah, come on. He's not going to coast. What are we talking about? He's going to run around the octagon?
And, hey, I've never been in a fight where I don't know that I'm winning. Do you know what I mean? You know, if you're way ahead on the scorecards, you're controlling the action, you're aware of that, and you're still trying to get the finish. Nobody plans on going to a decision. You know what I mean? Nobody's like, oh, do you know what I'm going to do in this fight? Ooh, yeah. I'm going to go 5 rounds. And I'm just going to scrape by the skin of my teeth and win like that. No. As fighters, we love nothing more than to finish an opponent, to get our hand raised while the doctors are seeing to him on the floor. I know that sounds messed up, but it's true. To connect with a punch and put him to sleep, to do an arm bar or a rear naked choke and get the tap. That is the ultimate feeling. Winning a hard-fought decision, of course, that is a completely different feeling, and it feels good, but nothing better than getting a finish.
Imagine you're doing the broadcast. It's the 5th round. It's about to start. They get off from the stool, and all of a sudden it flashes like 47, 46, and the crowd is going nuts. And the fighter's like, oh, really? Okay, there could be some real compelling moments there that I feel like we're losing out on. It's time for the sport to grow up.
There could be. I wouldn't say it's time for the sport to grow up.
That's right.
That's a bit of a...
No, that's right.
Oh, whoa. Easy, Helwani. My God, time for the sport to grow up. I need open scoring now.
Yes.
Sounding like a little spoiled brat there, Helwani. But I'm sure there's negatives. I don't know what they are. You just sprung this conversation on me. I'm yet to do my research.
Okay.
But I'm sure there is
on it.
I'm sure I will.
Okay.
I will. I'll talk about the way Helwani railroaded me.
That's a railroad?
Utter nonsense. No. You know, I'm here to talk about the many endeavors that I'm involved with.
All right.
Block Acid, Tales from the Octagon.
I forgot about
Bisping being released video on demand Monday and Tuesday next week. You know, talking about open scoring. What is your problem?
This is the way it goes. You come on, you promote the thing, we talk a little in the middle, and then you promote the thing on the back end.
I know. I'm kidding. Can
I ask you another?
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, just you know, it's hard to imagine, but at one time you were one of the biggest heels in the game, right? You know the term heel. People hated you. They loved to hate you. They wanted to see you lose. Could you rate Colby Covington as a heel for me? Not the fighter, but just the way he goes about promoting himself in his fights.
I think he does a great job. I think he really sells it. I think he gets people very, very much interested. I'm not so sure if he's necessarily a heel. Well, you know, he is a heel. I did an interview with him last week for BT Sport, and it was a very compelling interview and very honest and open of him. The reality is Colby's an incredible fighter. You know, he really is. You know, he's just unlucky in some ways that Kamaru Usman is the champion and he's around at the moment. If it wasn't for that, he'd probably be the champ. I think he brings a lot of excitement. I mean, that fight against Usman at Madison Square Garden, I loved every second of that press conference. And that was because of Colby. It was what he brought to the table. The same thing with Jorge. It's the same thing every single time. And if I was a fan, I would have bought that pay-per-view after watching that. So he's doing what he's setting out to do. He's promoting the fight, he's hyping the fight. He's trying to put a little bit of doubt into his opponent's mind. I'm not sure if he's successful in that, because I think a lot of people now know he's just playing this character. But promoting his fight, 100%, he does a fantastic job. I
saw you hobnobbing with Darren Till and Khamzat Chimaev over the weekend. What is that like, hanging out with those two guys? Because I have a theory on them, by the way.
Terrifying.
Why is it terrifying?
Terrifying. Oh, my God. Because I was in a car with them, with Khamzat and Darren, both taking it in turns to drive. I almost died. They're 28 and 26. I'm 43.
Right.
I've grown up a bit. I've done a little bit of maturing over the years. Block Acid, they're a company that Darren and I are investors in and partners in, and they're doing some incredible things. They're actually tokenizing the entire UFC roster. So they're in town with Darren because Khamzat's training for his fight against Gilbert Burns in April, and they're all staying. So I was commentating at the weekend. Yeah. And we went out for dinner Friday night and they picked me up from the hotel, which was very nice. And then driving back from the hotel, they got a little giddy. Khamzat's driving like an absolute goddamn maniac. And I mean a maniac on the wrong side of the road.
Oh my God.
Purposely dodging traffic. I'm in the back, screaming, putting my seatbelt on. I'm like, stop. They pull up the gas station. I went in to buy some milk for my coffee in the morning. And I come out, they're doing donuts like maniacs in the car park. I'm like, guys, you're going to get arrested. I get in the car. Darren Till starts doing more donuts, just misses the fuel pump by about this much. I'm like, oh my God, let me out of this car. If they make it to the fight, if they don't die, I'm going to be very, very impressed.
Wow. Were they filming that too? The block?
No, they weren't. They were just laughing their heads off. And the problem is because I was being such a quote unquote little bitch, they were doing it more. Do you know what I mean? They're like, because I was terrified. Listen, I like my life. I love my wife. I like my children. I want to grow old. Do you know? I don't want to die in the back of a car with Khamzat and Darren Till laughing their heads off. You know what I mean? Call me stupid.
I feel like Darren Till is doing the classic, like he's bringing in this guy to be his friend, and then at some point he's going to turn on him, like pro wrestling, and it's going to make for a huge fight. It's like I could see the video package that the UFC is going to put together. They were the most unlikely friends. They came together. Khamzat repackaged his life, and then at one point, it won't be a steel chair, but I feel like at one point Darren's going to turn on Khamzat. Do you see what I'm saying?
Or Khamzat's going to turn on Darren. We just don't know. Right, I mean, they did a live thing. That's Khamzat pulled out a flick knife. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not sure how they roll in Chechnya. Liverpool's a tough city, but Chechnya versus Liverpool, I don't know. I think I'm going to side with Khamzat on this one. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
But yeah, I think you never know. I mean, right now it's a little bit sickening. It is. They are so in love.
I know.
The pair of them.
It is.
They're sitting next to each other all the time at dinner. I'm like, I know your buddies. You don't have to sit next to one another. And I'll tell you the funniest thing. Khamzat, he doesn't speak the best English. You know, he can talk a little. He gets by okay. Scouse, fucking Scouse lad. He fucking understands that perfect, mate. So Darren has to translate in Scouse what we're saying in English. It's bizarre. He understands Scouse perfect, but proper Queen's English, he has no idea.
Wow. You blew my mind with that. That would make Darren into the ultimate babyface. Khamzat turning on him, and then everyone wants to see him get his revenge. Wow, that is an incredible idea.
You consume far too much wrestling with these terms, Ariel. You need to stop. I don't get it. I'm sorry. I saw some clip of CM Punk the other night covered in blood, and him and his buddy going, ugh.
It's not his buddy, it's his opponent.
I don't care. It's all scripted nonsense, and you look pathetic.
No.
Get off the floor. Stop with the fake blood. Just stop it, please.
Did you see the dog collar? They were attached by dog collar. You saw that?
Again, an even further example of how ridiculous they look, okay? As Colby would say, that is strictly for nerds and virgins.
Oh, my God. That's not very nice.
I ain't either of those, buddy.
I'm going to let you go in a second. I just have to ask, next weekend, March 19th at the O2, the much-anticipated, long-awaited return to the UK. I'm assuming you're working that one, right?
Yes.
You have to be, right. Okay. John Gooden back? I miss John Gooden. Is he working that one?
He is. It's going to be me, Felder, and John Gooden, so I'm very much looking forward to that. Fly there on Friday, get to London. I've got a tremendous amount of PR to do for the documentary. I'm like, hey, guys, I'm actually going there to commentate an event. And then they scheduled it into the PR schedule. Saturday, work UFC fight. I'm like, no, that's not how it works. There's a full week of meetings and interviews and stuff like that. And then, of course, I've got BT Sport as well. But the Universal have set up some incredible PR opportunities for me. So it's going to be a crazy week. And then I get down to London, call the fights. Very excited. I cannot wait for me personally and it's not about me. It's about the fighters. It's never about the commentator. But for me personally, when I step back into that octagon, when I do the fighter interviews, just to be on that canvas, have my feet on there, so many great memories, so much support over the years from the British public and everyone that came to the O2 Arena, to Manchester and wherever. I will never forget that. And that's partly why, by the way, I did this tour, Tales from the Octagon. This is why I did it, because I wanted to have one last fight in the UK, and I wanted to thank the British public and anyone that supported my career, because it's partly because of them that I was so successful. Do you know what I mean? And I know that for a fact. Yeah, I fought my heart out, but I also had tremendous amount of success. And I never got to have that final fight because of my eye. And after the Gastelum fight, my good eye started messing up as well. So it was too dangerous. And I wanted to, you know, the whole thing, get on the microphone, take your gloves off, put it down on the canvas and thank everyone. And Audie Attar said to me, he said, Mike, he said, you are romancing this in your mind. He said, you are going to risk going blind for that. So you don't need to do that. And he was right. But that's why I did this tour, and it was all about, you know, thanking the British public, and I have quite the finale. So yeah, so when I step foot into that canvas, it's going to bring back a lot of memories for me, and yeah, it's going to be very emotional. But the fights are incredible. Tom Aspinall,
yes.
Darren, Paddy the Baddy, Molly McCann, Paul Craig.
Yes.
Can't wait for it.
By the way, this is not your first time back, is it?
No, it's my first time commentating.
Is it really?
I've worked, yes. In the UK?
Yeah.
First time commentating.
Wow.
Yeah, so,
I didn't realize that. That is a huge deal.
Yeah. It is a huge deal. I'm very much looking forward to it.
Obviously, we know Leon. This was the last thing that I wanted to ask you. Leon is going to get a title shot next, so you could go.
Is that confirmed?
It's all but, I mean, it's all but confirmed. Probably in July. I mean, even Usman himself said, actually, I think to Caroline Pierce of BT, he wants it to be International Fight Week, all that stuff. I'm just curious, like, of all these names, because a lot of people in the UK, journalists that I talk to, PT, etc., not from the UK or Irish, but he says, like, this is the golden age of UK MMA. Like, there's never been this many great fighters coming out of the UK in particular. Could you tell me, like, one that you think that you could confidently say is going to be a champion, will be the next UK champion? Again, Leon could be the easy one because he's literally fighting for the belt next, but maybe excluding him, who's the guy or gal that you say?
So Leon has a strong possibility because he's incredible.
Right.
The only problem is that he's got Kamaru Usman, who's the pound for pound number one. So I'm not saying that he can't beat Usman. I'm just saying it's a tall order and it's going to be hard. And I'm sure he understands that as well. Darren Till, I believe, one day. He's still only 28. We know he's had some mixed results lately. He's got some work to do and he's doing that work. And I firmly believe he can be a champ one day. Arnold Allen, again, he's right there. He's kind of like a Leon Edwards.
Yes.
You know, stays quiet, but he's doing the work. He's chipping away. And if he continues, they're going to have no choice but to give him a shot. But the one that I think I can firmly say that will become champion one day is without question Tom Aspinall. He moves like a middleweight. He's 6'6". He's gigantic. He's so humble. He's such a hard worker. He's a lifelong jiu-jitsu specialist. He's got incredible striking, and he's so humble that he does the work. He's 4-0 in the UFC, 4 stoppages. He's got a tall order with Volkov, but I believe if he can get through Volkov, then nothing but big fights. Of course, we've got Ngannou. You know, he's at the top of the food chain. But Tom's very, very technical. So I think Tom's going to pull it off. I mean, come on. You know, I can't be the only one forever, Ariel.
No, of course. That's why I love Arnold. I think he's a great character. I'd love to see him get more shine. This is a massive fight for him against Dan Hooker. But yes, I would agree. And there's a tremendous amount of time. I mean, there's guys like Lerone Murphy coming up. I mean, it's just an amazing.
Yes, of course.
Right? You know?
As you say, I mean, we haven't even mentioned Paddy the Baddy, and there's many others. Right now, British MMA is at its peak. You know, there's so many great fighters. And then, of course, outside the UFC, we've got Michael Venom Page and many others, you know. So the country's very well represented. Great Britain, I'm talking about. So, it's great. It's great to be a part of it still.
Bisping, the Michael Bisping story. It comes out here in America March 22nd on digital and on demand in the US. That's the 22nd. In the UK, the 21st. They get it a day early, which I think is apropos. I mean, they should. It's the least that you could do for them. Give it to them a day early.
I mean, right? I guess you could just say because we're 8 hours ahead when we're showing it. Maybe that's when it goes. It's the middle of the night in America.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? So when you wake up, you'll have it.
That's fair. That's fair. BispingDoc.com. BispingDoc.com is where you can get all the information on where you can get it. Instagram is at BispingDoc. Twitter at BispingDoc, all those places. And of course, Michael Bisping's got the YouTube channel. He's got the Block Acid. He's got the podcast. He's got BT Sports stuff. He's got Tales from the Octagon in October. Golly, and you got the UFC stuff as well. I mean,
ESPN commentary, and then many UFC gyms.
UFC gyms. Jesus.
Oh my! I mean, like the list goes on, really. You know?
I mean, when I first got there to Fox,
Jay-Z's got nothing on me, bro.
I said, you guys have to hire Michael Bisping. I was the one that said, you guys at Fox when
To who?
to the suits over there.
Fox.
No,
Yeah.
to the suits, and they were like, Bisping, I don't know. And
I know.
Look at you now. You don't tell that story. You don't tell that story.
It's down to you. You know what I mean? I mean, you'll get these 20% in the mail.
Okay.
I appreciate you, brother. But thank you very much, everyone that supports what I do. myticket.co.uk if you want tickets for Tales from the Octagon. And Ariel, I know you got a busy show. Thank you always for supporting what I do. I appreciate it. Take care. Keep up the good work, and we'll talk soon.
All right. There he is, Michael Bisping, the man. Again, March 22nd, next week. That's in 13 days. It comes out here in the United States digitally and on demand. And March 21st for the good people of the UK.